There is no more important resource in a country's development process than its human capital. A country cannot progress economically unless it deliberately invests in its human resource to convert it into human capital. This video highlights the possibility of harnessing demographic dividends and how this can help Uganda to meet its aspirations of reaching upper middle class status by 2040, given its current dependency ratio by age profiles.
40 to 45% of our population is made up of under 20s, meaning that this group of people are currently dependent. What we mean is that they are not self-sustaining. Someone has to give or to sustain their livelihood, and that means that 40% is currently depending on the working class. And if you look at the working class, we believe those are 25 to around 55. And then we have those also above 55 that are dependent.
So why is human capital important? Let us take some examples. In India, the rate of human capital formation has consistently increased after independence due to qualitative improvement in each generation. In the second decade of the 21st century, the third generation of India's population is active in the workforce of India. This third generation is qualitatively the most superior human resource in India. It has developed the service sector of India with the export of financial services, software services, tourism services, and improve the invisible balance of India's balance of payments. The rapid growth of the Indian economy in response to improvement in the service sector is evidence of cumulative growth of human capital in India. In 30 years of reform and opening up, China's economy has sustained a nearly double-digit growth on average. In 3 decades, China is now the world's fastest-growing economy. They have lifted millions of their people out of poverty. They got it right. China's economic success is largely due to reforms that created favorable incentives and unleashed productive forces. A favorable demographic structure and adequate labor supply has contributed a great deal to this story. Human capital improvements in education and skills can considerably increase the productivity and earnings of labor. Uganda can take lessons.
The reason they've been able to go ahead of us, they didn't just say, let's have children and go ahead. They actually prepared their population. Dividend doesn't come just by the population structure alone. You also have to invest. When people grow into the market or into the labor market, what are they bringing to the labor market? So that process does not come by accident. Government has to put in place policies, and that's where we come in as SPEED. What are the policies that should help government to ensure that the population transforms to the right structure that is going to give us jobs, increase savings, increase investments, but also reduce the burden.
Uganda's Vision 2040 recognized the country's high fertility and resultant high population growth rate and unfavorable age structure as key constraints in the realization of the vision. Currently, Uganda has one of the youngest and most rapidly growing populations in the world. The country is therefore at a critical and defining moment because the most important demographic issue for Uganda is related to the age structure rather than the overall size of its population. The population of Uganda is currently projected at about 39 million people and is expected to double in the next 20 years. So what can we do to make sure that the productive population of young people adds to the economy?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I realize we are getting closer.
At Makerere University School of Public Health, researchers are of the view that Uganda's population can be harnessed. Their study contains ideas of the population dividend and what they mean for policymakers and the people of Uganda.
We commissioned a study and we've done it in partnership with the National Planning Authority, Population Secretariat and UNFPA. And all we have been able to at least arrive to is the key government actions that need to happen. One is that you need to ensure that there is sufficient programs to help people control their fertility. Currently in Uganda's setting, around 47% of the pregnancy happen by accident. Although people may carry them to term and have the baby, they not plan out to have a baby, and that's a big proportion. If you ask even within that, you will see that almost 30% would have liked to delay or even stop the pregnancy. But they are not using effective means of support of doing that, which is family planning and contraceptive programs.
We came up with, under the theory of social change, we came up with various drivers to guide the sectors and the local governments. The key sector is health. That is why it's called for speed. And we're looking at what are those issues that we can take on, the policy options. That's why we also did the remodeling to come up with new targets. We produced a report, came up with a results framework, of which the results framework were able to produce this policy brief out of it. And that framework has targets, has indicators, and proposed policy interventions that are supposed to be integrated in the various sectors. So that is what we take on to guide our annual planning processes, sector planning budgets, which are the annual plans, as well as inform the next planning process, the NDP3 that we are going to embark on.
SPEED stands for Supporting Policy Engagement for Evidence-Based Decisions for Universal Health Coverage in Uganda. The study focuses on what gains can be made in harnessing the population dividend. The study draws lessons from history. The process of bringing people to prosperity by harnessing the population dividend is to be welcomed and encouraged. We have to go with the flow. The government has to invest in infrastructure that ensures access to opportunities.
The policy there is that to relieve the dividend, also prepare those people from in schools and the other learning environment so that they actually come to the working age with these marketable skills. Also prepare where they are going to work. Right now we are saying it's market-led. I think there is some fallacy in all this. Governments tend to build factories where there are jobs to be made and where their people can work. So ideally our governments have not invested in this.
Human capital spending is needed to reshape Uganda's growth engine.
In Germany, where they increase the public expenditure, that people got rich and got out of poverty. If we are intended to get people out of poverty, it is not rocket science, we can get them out of poverty.
The investment must be deliberate. Education and healthcare in the young people are inevitable.
That education is not focused on giving the people life skills. Maybe it's focusing in giving them some knowledge which is useful if they are employed. But how do you get the education sector to be more purposive? All these things are out of the education system and we are not seeing some outcomes coming through, and that reflects in health. People don't know how to deal with their own bodies and how to regulate them, which I think is what we are trying to encourage in that regard.
That is actually the gist of the matter, because when the population don't have the right employable skills, and then they are not able to be productive.
Right now, government is focused on infrastructure. So if it's dam, they will fix it. Increasingly, also roads are being fixed. All these are important, but I think we need to see that we create long-term jobs.
There is a limit to which you can tax peasants. There is a limit to which you can tax hunters and gatherers. There is a limit to which you can tax people in the fisheries sector. You need to industrialize and to add fundamental value, structural value to the commodities, to invest in polytechnics and train your skill.
Those skills could go into industry, those skills could go into agriculture, those skills could go into infrastructure, they could go into mining, they could go into tourism. The economy requires so many diverse skills. I'm not even sure the schools or even the parents have actually started this discussion so that children get to know that there's a big world that requires so many skills. Now those skills we don't have. We've turned all training institutions that used to give these applied skills into universities. Right now, if you go around, you'll find that most of the technical schools we had, including Chambogo here, is a university. Now it's teaching theory.
Because the market is not perfect, it does not always deliver for people in a way that ensures equality in living standards. You can't leave things to chance. The hope with this study is that policymakers can take the message that these communities can be harnessed into vibrant economic communities, and advantage can be taken of their being there rather than being seen as a burden to the government.
If more people are working, they're able to contribute to, for example, like the health insurance scheme, and they're able to access better health services and reduce the burden to government. So we thought of prioritizing demographic dividend would help us attain our population structure from a broad-based young and youthful population into a more working age population who will be able to be in the productive sector, and then gainful employment of course has a result into the GDP result.
And that's how economic growth actually has been realized in the Asian giants right now. They are the first that have reaped the dividend. They've surpassed us, although at the same time now they are far ahead of us. They actually prepare to ensure that they are assured these children will have a very high risk, not just by chance, but by design.
We are not going to achieve things by miracle. We are going to achieve targets by struggle.
Equipped with evidence-based data, public policies, planning frameworks, investment priorities can be set, let alone influencing the development discourse towards achievement of the upper middle income status by 2040. The study is a device to stipulate policy that works for the people, and it works for the economy.
We want to see that the benefit of people getting out of poverty comes back to their health. So when poverty reduces, health improves. But we are waiting to see that government is doing effective poverty reduction.